Hello, everyone. Good morning. So we'll get started in exactly 1 minute. Before we get started, we have a tradition of saying hellos in our local dialects. So let's keep the chat room bubbling. Let's say good morning in our local dialects in the chat room. So if you're joining us, you're welcome. Hi, Abel. Hi, Blessing. Hi, Els. Hi, good morning. So get started in exactly 1 minute. Before we get started, we have a tradition of saying hellos in our local dialects. So let's keep the chat room bubbling. Let's say good morning in our local dialects in the chat room. So if you're joining us, you're welcome. Hi, Abel. Hi, Blessing. Hi, Els. Hi, good morning. Get started in exactly 1 minute. And before we get started, we have a tradition of saying hellos in our local dialects. So let's keep the chat room bubbling. Let's say good morning in our local dialects in the chat room. Okay, yes, we're good. Sorry for the echo. Okay, so for me, I didn't ask for your bio, but I think I have your
let me find out, Chinaya, is my video looking dark?
A little bit, but I think I can see your face.
Okay.
And you're clearly. So for me, it's a friend of over. For me, how long have we been friends now? 20 years more.
Yeah, about so, yes.
More than 20 years. So Fumi and I were in Ife together. We studied pharmacy in Ife together. No one would have expected that Fumi would have gone into skills. Fumi is a very peculiar person. All of us thought that by the time we finish, Fumi will probably be in a hospital somewhere, just chilling, or maybe lecturing, Nobody expected that Fumi would be in sales. And today, Fumi has wowed a lot of us because she has shown us that indeed selling is not about what do you call it? It's not about talking too much, or it's not about being an extrovert. Some of us already knew we're going to be in sales from school because if you count pans, you see us. If you count anything, just mention it, you see us, we are there. When it comes to talking, just give us the microphone. We know what to say. But someone like Fumi was always hidden in the background, You only find her when you have NSCPS. What do you call it? Yes, so that's where you find Fumi, So even though, yes, she's always been a pleasant person to chat with if you come on close to her. But however, you wouldn't know from a distance, So but for me, we also, after Ife, we met at Pfizer. And then we had an interesting career at Pfizer too, where we sold pharmaceutical products. And then after Pfizer, that's where Fumi now wowed me, And then she went into selling of medical devices. I thought that was going to break her, but it didn't. So that's why I brought her here. I brought her here to come and share some of those secret strategies that she has used that has helped her to develop herself from just being an introvert, pharmaceutical, especially in Ife. There's this thing about if you schooled in Unilag, or one of the, maybe even UNN, there's this, you definitely might not even have that, you might have the, how do I put it? There's this push to be more than just being a pharmacist. But when you go to schools like Ife, where naturally the atmosphere is intimidating, you don't even have a say sort of, It's interesting to see how she has grown herself from just that Ife girl, to now becoming one, very good sales professional, a high-performing sales professional that not only sells pharmaceutical products, but sells other life science products. And that's why Fumi is here. So for me, I think this intro is more than, it's better than if I had read your bio. Thank you so much, Fumi, for taking up this challenge of coming here, and we really appreciate you. So we look forward to hearing from you today, Fumi. Over to you.
Yeah. Good morning, guys. Thank you so much, Ine, for having me. To me, it's a huge privilege, and everything Chinaya said, absolutely on point, 100%. My name is Fumi Dedewo, and Chinaya has described me just as it is. And I'm really glad to be here this morning. We'll be talking around how to be great at sales as an introvert. I'll try to share my screen right away. But before I do that, I'd like you to put in chat. If you can hear me, please say, I can hear you. If you can hear me clearly, please put it in chat and say, I can hear you. Just put it in chat. Let's see how many people can hear me clearly. How many people are following already? Just chat and say, I can hear you if you can hear me. Also, I like everyone to let's see how we feel this morning. I feel energized. I feel happy. I feel strengthened. I'm tired. It's Saturday morning. I should be sleeping. How do you feel? Put it in chat for us. How do you feel this morning? I feel energized. I feel tired. Let me hear you. Let me see. Thank you. I can see Els Magnet saying, I can hear you. I can see Suleiman also saying he can hear us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, so I think we're good to go. Oh, I feel weekend. Abel, sorry. Weekend is for sleeping, right? Or rolling in bed. I feel very excited because just like Chinaya said, I'm not the kind of person you would have thought will be in sales. So I'll just kick off right away. How to be great at sales as an introvert. We'll be taking this overview. We'll talk around who an introvert is, who an introvert is not, because it appears that sometimes when we try to define an introvert, we kind of also do not really capture who an introvert is really. So we'll look around that and then we'll see how we can capture introvertism. We'll look at what makes for greatness. Hello. We'll look at what makes for greatness in a sales in a sales career. We'll also look at what makes introverts great at sales. And then we'll look at how to build your sales confidence. Ultimately, and that's what I like to tell people, the lifeline of every single organization is sales. Even Google, some time back, I saw that they put up adverts and I'm like, even Google is advertising. What are they supposed to advertise again? Why are they advertising? I mean, they're all over. Everybody uses Google, Google Chrome, Google Charts, Google Maps. I'm a road runner, so to say. So I must use Google Maps on for every occasion, every single day. But you find out that Google, they still go around, doing adverts. Why? Because they want to sell. Because there's something that must run the organization. And so we're going to be looking at how to build your sales confidence. Now, who is this talk for? This talk is not only for introverts. This talk is for people who are aspiring managers who will be managing introverts. This talk is for people who own their own business, who probably will be coming in contact with introverts, to sell to them. You probably will have employees that you'll be, dealing with, and you may underestimate them if you think that, they're just introverts and they can't do so much in sales. So, I believe that this talk, this meeting this morning applies to every single individual, and I'd like us to just follow through as we continue. I will talk for maybe an hour or thereabouts, and I would love that we come up with our questions and answers towards the end of the talk. Please put down your questions and answer. Please put down your questions as they come to your mind so you don't forget them. If you think that you also want to put them on chat, please put them on chat. I'm sure that Chineye would be taking notes also. Yeah, would I love to share my slides after the meeting? I'm completely willing to share the slides after the meeting. So let's go on to the next slide. Okay, just a minute. So what makes for greatness? Oh, sorry. I think that the next one is, who is an introvert? So can you put in chat for me, who do you think an introvert is? I'll take this off because I know some people have seen the slides already. But who do you think an introvert is? How do you define an introvert? Talk to me in chat. How do you define an introvert? Who do you think an introvert is? Are they moody people? Are they, like then when we used to describe temperaments, are they melancholics? Is it that they're, do they, I mean, Chinaya says they don't talk so much. Yes. Who do you think introverts are? Who do you think that, I mean, how do you describe them? When you say that, oh, that lady, she's such an introvert, how do you describe them? Who do you think that, when you see them, how do you separate them from extroverts? Oh, they internalize their feelings. Yeah, Chinaya says they internalize their feelings. Who else is in chat talking to us? Who do you think an introvert is? Suleiman, Abel, Adedokun, can we hear you in chat? Who do you think introverts are? Oh, Adedokun Blessing says they are not convenient when they have to be open about themselves. Yes, so I think that Blessing means that they don't feel comfortable opening up. Yes, they don't speak in public. Speaking in public is not their thing. Okay, good. I can see you in chat. Thank you so much, Onome Alfred. Yeah, so we've all tried as much as they dislike overly events. Okay, I think that this person is Oji Okechukwu is trying to tell us that they dislike maybe big events. They are not party people. They are not big event kind of people. Yeah, so we're all right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're right. Even though I think that today we are going to unlearn, we're going to relearn, and we're going to, we're going to unlearn, we're going to learn, and we're going to relearn. So look at my next slide. Look at my next slide that I'll be showing to you now. A minute. Okay. So imagine a room filled with all of these people. You have Bill Gates, you have Albert Einstein, you have Warren Buffett, you have Mark Zuckerberg, you have Lady Gaga, you have Elon Musk. Please put in chat, who do you think are the introverts in this list? Who are the introverts in this room? We know these people, they are famous people. We know Nelson Mandela, we know Eleanor Roosevelt, we've heard about them. Who are the introverts in this room? Who are the introverts? Oh, someone says Albert Einstein is an introvert. Okay, let's hear you. Who are the introverts here? We have Nelson Mandela, we have Elon Musk. Yeah, who are the introverts? Thanks, Abel. Thanks, Abel. I see you. Bill Gates. Okay, Chuku says Bill Gates sounds like, it sounds like Bill Gates to be an introvert. Tell me. Oh, Onome says Bill Gates to be an introvert. So because, he's into tech, he's very, all of these people that just sit down and bring up technology, updates. Yeah, so Bill Gates to be an introvert, right? Okay. Albert Einstein is an introvert. Okay. Okay, so I'll shock you this morning. I'll shock us all this morning by making us understand that by research, all of these people are introverts. All of these people are introverts. Someone says, even Elon Musk? Yes, even Elon Musk. Even Lady Gaga? Oh, yes. Even Lady Gaga, by research, Lady Gaga is an introvert. And this is where we pause. And we ask ourselves again, who is an introvert? So studies say that there's no such thing as an 100% introvert or an 100% extrovert. Every individual lies somewhere in between. Every individual lies somewhere in between. For those of us that have at some point in time done our personality traits using color codes. I'll just give a summary. There are people who are yellow, there are people who are green, there are people who are red, there are people who are blue. I'm a combination of blue and green. Blue is analytical, very critical thinking, and green is like amiable. And yellow stands for, all these happy-go-lucky people. You say, let's go, they say, yay! They have so much energy. And red is for those that you may want to describe as choleric, natural leaders, And now, for introverts sit around that blue-green spectrum. They sit around the blue-green spectrum. However, they might not have much to say. But like this picture on my slide says, they have a universe inside their head. They have a universe inside their head. So what differentiates an introvert from an extrovert is where you pull your energy from. Extroverts will pull their energy from crowd, from people, from external sources. But introverts will pull their energy from internal sources. And that's where you hear us saying, I'm going in retrospect. I'm sitting and I'm taking an internal, recharge. Introverts they like to sit down and recharge themselves internally. So let's talk about Lady Gaga for a bit, or Elon Musk. These are people that you see, they're loud. However, they go back on their own and then they take strength internally. So yeah, they might not like the loud, the noise, the crowd, but they found a way to somewhere sit between introvertism and extrovertism, even though naturally they are introverts. When they do all of those things, you find them going back to their shell, and it's called recharging. They recharge themselves, they recharge their minds, they recharge their systems. Now, introvertism or extrovertism, whatever your personality trait is, it's a function of your nature as a person and your nurture. It's a function of your nature and your nurture. What does that mean? I'll give you an instance about myself. So I was raised by two people who I would say are introverts. My father is absolutely introvertish. We call him a man of few words. Interesting man to be with, very cool, calm, collected. You know how we say it? We say it's cool, calm, and collected. Cool, calm, and collected, highly introvertish. He doesn't speak much, but he was still an interesting person to be around. Highly intellectual. My mom was a teacher by nature, and she still doesn't talk much. Very calm people. So I think I was just born like that with an introvertish nature. Then I had a family. You know how that you're at home. I don't know how many people, encountered this growing up. But you know how that you're at home and you really can't hear our voices so much. In fact, back then, if my mother said, go and tell your brother that food is ready. If you shout from downstairs and you say, food is ready, hey, you will hear yourself that day. She will come back and say, so the whole world must know that food is ready and then you want to eat. So she used to, we had a home that was really very, let me use this word, we were straight. We were very straight. You could define us as being people who would do things by routine, and we were fine. That was how life was growing up. So my nature and then the nurture that I had growing up contributed a lot to my personality traits. And I will give you a story in addition to that to just again add to what Chineye said at the beginning of this session. She said people in school back in Ife, they never ever thought that I would be in sales. In fact, I was in, if you're in pharmaceutical sales, and at some point, if you dealt with distributors, you would go to Idumota at some point in your career. And I was at Idumota that very fateful day. I met one of my classmates, back then, Kenneth. And he said, Fumi, what are you doing here? I said, I came to see my customers. The shock on his face. And I was like, to see who? I'm like, I came to see my customers. I'm in sales. And he was like, he couldn't just believe it. Fumi, you are in Idumota. What brought you? He started asking me, you are doing sales? What brought you into sales? And I'm like, I just love it. I just love sales, And he was surprised. Many of my colleagues felt that because I did my internship at the National Orthopedic Hospital in Igbobi, Lagos, and everybody thought that by default, this girl will continue, with Igbobi. Lo and behold, I didn't like it. I didn't like the setting in the hospital. I had done pharmaceutical sales in a retail pharmacy sometime also before my internship. So I just told myself, no, this is not the life for me. And as God will have it, I had a friend who just encouraged me and said, you know what, go into pharmaceutical sales, and just be sure that you are with a multinational, where you won't have to do so much of selling. You know, you will meet people, you will detail and all of that, but you won't do much of selling. I think that was one of the best advice that I received in my entire life, because now this is 2023 and this is my 13th year in sales. 2023 and this is my 13th year in sales. I must say to you that I've enjoyed every single bit of it. And I'll pause at this point and I will ask a question and put it on chat for me. Do you really think that introverts would naturally be good at sales? Do you think that they have qualities that will make them good at sales? Tell me in chat, yes or no. Do you think that introverts have qualities that will make them do well in sales? Because I know that some people will say to themselves, I'm very quiet, so I don't think I can sell. I have a younger sister too, who is also a pharmacist. She's schooled at Unilag. And you know, at some point, I also had told her that, I don't know if this one can sell, because she even is a little more introverted than I am. Wow, a family of introverts. We used to say that my brother is the one that looks like, you know, is still like an ambivert amongst us. But in fact, we are all introverts, to be honest. And, you know, I told her that she's a pharmacist. I said, see, just get a job with, you know, a retail pharmacy or a hospital. This my sales job is not for you. Well, lo and behold, she's not even doing retail and she's not doing hospital. She has gone for a master's, heading to do a PhD, and she really wants to just continue lecturing. You know, that's the introvert life, right? So yes, do we think that introverts have qualities that will make them good at sales? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And absolutely, yes, they do. Absolutely, yes, they do. With all sense of modesty, I've done absolutely well in against what people believe. They are not awkward people. They are only introspective. They want to go back and ask themselves, my husband suffered in my hand because of this when we got married. When we're trying to talk, just talk about issues, I'll say, well, let me take my time to think and brood over it. So I sit and I brood. I'll say, don't worry, let me just take my time to think. So things that you're supposed to take your decisions like now, like color yellow team. I had a friend, so then, Gina, you remember Irene very well. Irene was yellow. If Irene wanted to do anything, Irene is still yellow. If she wanted to do anything, then she does it like now. She just goes straight. She does it. Me, I'm still here thinking, planning, telling myself, oh, okay, we want to go to this doctor. Can we meet him? When will we meet him? Will he be in a good mood? I'm really taking my time to consider. Irene just goes, so she just goes, she enters the consulting room like this. She's already talking, doc, how you doing? She's speaking pidgin already to the doctor. And I'm like, how is it that this girl does this thing? So we are really introspective people. We sit we're very internal. We think thoroughly about things. And now to people, it makes us look like we're awkward, but we're not awkward. We're just taking thorough thoughts, about our lives, about what we want to do. Yeah, it's true. Introverts are a little more quiet than the usual. In fact, I'm surprised and I'm shocked at how that I talk a lot these days. I mean, I call it a lot, and that a lot is not even a lot to some people. But yeah, we are naturally more quiet than the usual. Truth be told, yeah, I mean, Chinaya just described me 100%. In Ife, the only time you would see me would be maybe when we're talking about NFCPS, or maybe also in my school fellowship, or maybe with, those few friends that I had. If you say, oh, let's do things, pass, the dinners, you will not find me, you will not find me there at all. I was just that, usually very quiet person. I think I've improved a lot, really improved a lot. And towards the end of the talk, you will see what has happened to me. Also, I've also transitioned a lot. Introverts are reserved, so they are not loners. They are not really shy like people think. So growing up, I thought I was shy and timid. But that was not the way to describe me. I actually wasn't shy. I actually wasn't timid. I was just reserved. And because I'm an introvert and I kind of go in introspection, when the yellows are out, like the extroverts, when they're out jumping around already, I'm still taking my time to assess the situation. And you know, it's funny because now I'm a mother of 3 and I have 2 daughters. My first daughter, highly introvertish girl. She's quiet, she's creative. So she uses her introvertish character to draw. She's there drawing, she's there painting, you know. But I have an extrovert daughter because my husband is highly extrovertish. If you're Yoruba here, I describe my husband as people they call Woki Lumo. When he enters a place, everybody must know that he has entered. You know, so my second daughter kind of takes after her. She wants to dance, she wants to sing, she wants to, you know, comb her hair. Yesterday she told me, Mommy, I want to do my hair, I need a ponytail. I'm like, you're in school. School doesn't allow you to have attachments on your head. You do attachments when you're, you know, over the break. And this morning, my daughter, I can count, she went in the front of the mirror like 7 times. She came back to me several times saying, did I match my dress very well? Like asking me, does the top match the trouser? And I'm like, it's good. It's so lovely. You know, I'm here now dealing with 2 different personality traits in my children. And sometimes I just laugh. I laugh a lot. I see myself so much in my first daughter. I see my husband in my second daughter, and I just laugh. So introverts, my second daughter, even though she might be quiet, she still has, you know, she still has that, she's not shy. She's not someone that would, you know, shy away. So introverts are not the, you know, introvertism is not shyness, and it's not social awkwardness. It's not social anxiety. They are different things entirely. That you're an introvert doesn't really mean that you are shy. It doesn't mean that you're socially awkward. It doesn't mean that you're socially anxious. You're just reserved. And then when you pull your energy from within, you make the best of it. Now, introverts also have their energy drained by large crowds. I'll tell you a story here. I think it was sometimes in my part 5. You know, it was my final year in school, and it was my birthday. And I said, oh, I'm going to celebrate this very birthday. And I was excited that I was going to celebrate my birthday. And if you ever went to Ife here, birthday celebrations were with donuts and zobo. You know, if you didn't have that big money, it's the big boys that go to New Buka, you know, bring people into the restaurants there and give them rice and chicken. Me, I just arranged cake, donuts, zobo. I think there was buns too and all of that. And people were running around for me, you know. They made sure this party was the big party. Believe you me, by 30 minutes into the party, I was tired. I was practically tired. It looked like my strength was completely drained. And I was asking myself, but it's my birthday. Why am I so tired? And see the irony. The flip side of it is that if it's someone else's birthday, oh, I can sit down, we can do meetings and plan. I can help you to plan the event, you know, channeling my inner energy to planning. But my own birthday, no. I was tired. Do you know, I was so tired, I went to sit in the kitchenette. So tired. People were in my room, you know, eating, drinking, playing music, dancing. I was in the kitchenette, tired already. And that's who introverts are. They have a little energy. And when you have large crowds and all of that, oh, you just drain their energy. It's not like they are withdrawn. It's just that their energy gets drained a lot when there's a large crowd. And the way to pull back that energy is when they have their me time. They go back, they sit down, they pull internal energy again, and then they bounce back. Now, introverts have small groups of close friends. Introverts are those people we call loyalists. You know, when you see friends that are loyal. Somebody told me some time back, she said, Fumi is loyal. And that's the truth. I don't join too many, I don't join too many groups. I don't like to join too many associations. Because if I join an association, I need to be giving my 100%. And that's loyal. You know, you're a friend or you are my sibling, and you say, oh, this is happening. What happened? I want to run and sort out the matter, even though I'm quiet. And that's why you see people like Bill Gates that we mentioned earlier. Albert Einstein, those ones are the ones that are at the high-end spectrum of introvertism. You see them achieving a lot. They are the ones they call people that achieve quiet success. They don't talk, they don't make noise. Oh, you're wondering, how's this girl doing it? How's this boy doing it? Now, that's how introverts are. How are they doing it? Very quiet, but the success keeps, ringing a bell. And that's how Bill Gates is. That's how people like Mark Zuckerberg is. You meet them, they are unassuming. When people meet me, you do not know what I can do. And people now these days, they say introverts are the ones that are strong behind the keyboard. So when I start chatting with people, I'm better found on chats. People that know me know that already. I don't make calls like that. My mother even complains. She says, Fumi, you don't even call. Say, call your uncles. Call them and say, you know that I don't call. But see, if you are looking for me, just go and drop one line for me on WhatsApp. The day you read my messages, and then the day you now meet me, you'll be finding it difficult to put me and that message together, because I'm able to express my thoughts. I can type, I'm there, so my messages are more interesting than I am, actually. When I chat to people, it's a lot more interesting than when you just meet me on a one-on-one. I may not be able to talk so much, but introverts are, keyboard people. They say it now in Gen Z language, they say they are keyboard champions. Yes, introverts are keyboard champions. So I want to see that we're following me. So if you're still hearing me, put it in chat and say, yes, I can hear you. Introverts are keyboard champions. We are there, we are chatting, our emotions, we are expressing it with, and thank God for emoticons. I hardly will send a message and I'll not put an emoticon. I hardly will send a message that I'll not put a smiley. We're putting the smileys. We're there behind the keyboards, but we're not really people who want to talk. We're not really people who want to. By the time we talk for too long, you just find us back in our rooms. In fact, in my house, if there's no one with me, I may not have the TV on in 4 days. Like, I may not have, it's that bad. I may not have it on in 4 days. I'll be in my house. Sometimes when I have it on, I just have it on so that I want to hear that noise in the background. Otherwise, and then when you find me watching TV, please, what do I watch? Chopped, Food Network. These days now, I watch Judging Matters just because I want to laugh. Very uninteresting programs. If I watch a movie with you, don't be deceived. You can't come and ask me tomorrow, what did they do in that movie? I cannot remember it. Is that terrible? I cannot remember it. From top to bottom, if I follow you to the cinema, I just want to eat popcorn and take a drink. Maybe eat whatever thing we carry into the cinema. By the time we're halfway through the movie, I have dozed in a cinema before. Like, I go there and I just eat the popcorn. Popcorn is finished like this, I'm dozing. No matter how very interesting that movie is. In fact, my siblings used to say then that if you put a movie for me, it's just because I want to sleep. That's how really terribly introvertish I can be. But one of the things that we do so well as introverts is that we learn by observation. I said earlier that my father was highly introvertish, but there was almost nothing my father did not know. When things are happening around him, he knows. He will not say a word. He will not tell you, but trust me, my father knows 100%. Even when we used to lie to him in our list, when you're going to school and you write your list, then you break dictionary into diction and nary. My brother used to have one very tiny handwriting. He will now write it very tiny, or miscellaneous. He will now put Miska. Once somewhere down the list, he will put Lenius. My father will still give you all the money, even when you put 20,000 in front of Miska. He will give you money for Miska. But did you not know? He knew. He was just that kind of person. He will learn. He used to learn by observation. He used to observe a lot. And I'm very observant. I'll tell you a story at this point. So there's a neighbor living behind my house. And this is really very funny and profound. So my husband is the extrovert, You would think he's the one that will know my neighbors. No. My neighbors living behind my house, I hadn't seen them before because they live behind my house. The close is not on my avenue. The close is like behind my own avenue, but I hear their voices. And by hearing their voices, I could tell how old the boy child. I could tell how old the girl child was. I could tell how old the mother was. And you know, the funniest part was that one of the days when we were going to church, and we met them on the way. They were walking to church. We were driving. I told my husband, those are the people living behind our house. Never seen them before. My husband said, hey, how? I said, these are the people living behind our house. I can't, you know, I had heard their voices over and over, you know, well enough to be able to tell, but I wasn't wrong. The day we saw them, they were the ones. I had observed without even watching, and I could tell those people were our neighbors. Very funny, but I mean, very true story. Introverts, because they can observe, watch, and channel their internal energy, they are attracted to jobs that involve independence. Now, let's pause. Does that not sound like a sales job? Most of us, when we go for sales interviews, one of the first questions they ask you is, can you work alone? Are you able to work alone? Yes, introverts can work alone. Just put me in a car. The car is my office. I'm off. We like jobs that involve independence. And this point has its pros and it has its cons. Because sometimes it makes us not so good with teamwork, but it makes us like, you know, individual performers. Individual performance in the career world now, you must be able to blend your individual performance with teamwork. And so when we're talking about how to, you know, be great at sales as an introvert, we would talk around this for a bit, you know, independence versus teamwork. Independence versus teamwork. We'll talk about that, you know, a little, and, you know, we'll see how that we can make the best of us working on jobs that involve independence. Sometimes also because you are highly independent, you're not able to work very well with bosses. Your boss is saying something, you know that what this boss is saying is not going to make it work. You just go ahead and do your own. You know, sometimes it's also good, but it might be a con, you know, on our parts as introverts. And introverts are very self-aware. Very, very self-aware. Observant and self-aware. It doesn't make us unfriendly. It doesn't make us aloof. You know, it looks like we don't know what is happening in the environment, but we're observing. We're just not speaking. And extroverts will not observe completely, but they would have spoken. They are all over. But introverts, we're observing, we're not just speaking. We're people of few words, but we know what is happening around us. We know what exactly is happening around our environment. Okay, so we've talked about who an introvert is and who an introvert is not. Can you put in chat for me some other things that I've not mentioned that you think also I know that introverts actually do? Some other things that I've not mentioned, can you put in chat for me? What do you think are, you know, some other qualities of introverts? You know, when you think about introverts, what do you think are the good sides that introverts have? What do you think are the bad sides that introverts have? So again, I've clarified for us, introverts are not awkward people. They are not loners. Again, you know that I said earlier, your personality trait is a function of your nature. You have a personal nature that you may not be able to change, but it's also a function of nurture. And now that nurture, what you can do in nurturing is to grow, is to build more. You know, you can build more, you know, with nurturing. Oh, you know that I am an introvert, right? But you can transition. And I will guide you on how because I feel I transitioned to a large extent from an introvert, and I'll tell you what I've transitioned into in recent times. But you must be able to understand that even though you have an introvertish nature, you can nurture yourself. Yeah, somebody is saying, Andy, yeah, thank you, Andy. She's saying that they act more than they talk. Yes, they act more than they talk. And I've heard people tell me that many times at work, in my offices. You know, I worked 9 years with Pfizer, like China said earlier, and I've spent now close to, I'm almost going to 4 years in General Electric healthcare. And I've had, people tell me at, performance appraisals, how that they never thought I could pull that through. One of my strengths is in event planning. Give me an event, 3 days to that program. All of these are conferences that we plan, PANCOF, Pharmaceutical Council of Nigeria conferences, conferences where we need to exhibit. All those conferences that we do for pharmacists and we bring them. Let somebody be planning it. If they think that, I remember then in Pfizer, by the time they think that this thing wants to scatter, they will bring Fumi. Just give me 3 days. I will arrange it back. So we really act more than we can talk. So if you're an introvert in this room, I want you to feel very excited this morning, because there's a lot of strength that you carry. There's a lot inside of you that you can do. Don't look, I know that conventionally, people think that the strong people are the extroverts, conventionally. But I want to tell you this morning, you have a lot of strength that you can channel. You have a lot, and it's not about, people seeing you. How often do we see Bill Gates? How often do we see Mark Zuckerberg? But they're doing a lot. They're doing a lot. They're doing it, and before you know it, their names just come out. People like Nelson Mandela, how often do you see him talk? He's not talking, but for somebody of that nature to have fought, for apartheid in South Africa, then you know that these are people that have channeled a lot of internal strength and they've made it work for themselves. Okay, so we move on to the next slide where we talk about what makes for greatness in sales. Because we need to look at who introverts are, which we've done. We need to look at what makes for greatness in a sales career. And then in the next slide, we'll be tying it together. So does this picture on my screen, does it look like who we are? Sometimes. So you need to buy your, where's your order? If you don't order now, monthly targets, weekly targets, quarterly targets. If you don't buy, I'll be fired, please call, sometimes that's the life of a salesperson. You are counting numbers. And I remember in Pfizer that we used to say the reward for good work, if you meet your budget in 1999, in the year 2000, of course, they're going to give you a bigger budget. That's the way it is. The reward for good work is more work. So your budget keeps growing. And because your budget keeps growing, you need to keep channeling what will make you do better. And trust me, mark these very points I'm about to make. A sales career is one of the best careers you can ever go through. It helps you ultimately in life. It goes and it touches all other aspects of your life that you're not even aware of, and it helps you ultimately. So, but let's consider now what makes you great as a salesperson. First, product knowledge. What are you selling? That thing that you're selling, you must understand it 100%. And I'll tell you the story at this point. When I joined GE, I came from pharmaceuticals. So I had sold drugs all my life. 9 years of my life, I sold drugs. And, I sold drugs. I studied pharmacy in school. So it was an easy point for me to be. I mean, you didn't need to train me so much to know, all of these things. It's just like you're a nurse and you're working as a nurse. Or sorry, you studied nursing and you're working as a nurse. Or you studied engineering and you're working as an engineer. You don't need to be too trained. But when I was transitioning to equipment sales, I was fearful, actually. I knew that, I'm going to do something I don't know so much about. You will need physiology, you will need biomedical, technology. And I did have a bit of that. In fact, it appeared that some people didn't even like the fact that, somebody from pharma was coming. But yeah, I had the relationship management qualities that the organization wanted, and I got the job. One of the first things that I told myself was that in 3 months, I must be able to understand my products. And I kid you not, equipment sales, products are tough, very tough. Which one is ventilator now? Which one is anesthesia machine? Hey, they say monitor again. They say it has hemodynamic modules. They say it has anesthesia this, respiratory flow sensor, respiratory this. Hey, But trust me, I sat with her and I said, this will be my game changer on this job. I sat down with products. I started learning the products. There was one of my colleagues then, I rode on his back. I knew products like, so I used to tell you, please come to Lagos, come and train my customers. Of course, when you are training my customers, I'll be there sitting down, also listening, and getting all of the product knowledge that I needed to get. Product knowledge is very key for a sales career. You cannot sell what you don't know. I'll say it again. You cannot sell what you don't know. I have a personal business that we do, and it's about fashion. And one of the things I did before I really decided to go very big on that business was to go and learn. This kind of thing they call apprenticeship, right? There was somebody who had a shop in, it was off Towing Street. And I practically went and learned from that guy. Which one is double cuff? Which one is single cuff? Which one do they call Windsor collar? Which one do they call bow tie? Which tie do you use for this? And I kid you not, I needed that product knowledge to be able to sell. So you cannot sell a product that you don't know. You cannot. There's no way you'll be able to come through to a customer when you don't know your product. Secondly, you need to be able to build relationship and trust. Relationship is one thing. Trust is another. For me, when are you coming to see me? Monday morning, 12 o'clock. Monday morning, 2 o'clock, Fumi has not come. 3 o'clock, Fumi has not come. Tuesday, she did not even come. Wednesday, she did. Don't promise what you cannot do. Don't overpromise and underdeliver. In fact, underpromise and overdeliver. I've heard people tell me that, wow, you said you were going to come for 12, and by 30 minutes to 12, you're already calling me that you're around. I'm like, yes. My driver knows. If we're fixing a meeting, we want to make 10 a.m., I will tell him the day before, please, we are leaving earlier tomorrow. Let's promise and deliver. Let's build in relationships based on integrity. Now, that way, people will trust you. So sometime back then, I covered General Hospital Bagada, and at one point, every doctor in General Hospital was my mommy. It's either you are my mommy, or you are my auntie, or you are my uncle. I had built that relationship that people were now loyal to me. So if you were writing Novask, if you were writing Lipitor, if you were writing Cardiot, which were my products at the time, you were writing it because it was for me speaking to you. Now, many people will sell your products because it is you, before they say it's the product. Many people will say, Fumi spoke to me about Novask yesterday, and they will prescribe Novask because it's Fumi. Quote me anywhere. Some people will buy some things from you because it's Fumi, even if it's more expensive. They will say, Fumi has become their sister. Fumi has become their brother. In fact, I just need to write this. Build relationships and trust with your colleagues, with your customers. Selling skills, we can't underestimate this at all. We can't talk too much about selling skills. One of the best things in my life was the training I got from Pfizer training school. I give it to Pfizer. Every single time I give it to Pfizer. I got so much training. They practically reoriented me because I was coming from nowhere. I knew nothing about sales. Pfizer camped us for 1 month, and all we were doing was learning. They were training us. And that's, at this point, I would have to say that if you have friends, those of us on this call, if you have friends who want to go into sales or who will be going into sales, please tell them about Farmer Sales Summit. Chinaya is doing a fantastic job with this outfit. She's doing a fantastic job bringing the kind of, you see, you will not be able to do a lot if you don't have selling skills. You can't just see, and I stand to be corrected, but I will say this. When I got into the equipment industry, I really came back to appreciate the kind of things, the kind of training that I got in pharma. Equipment people, I don't know maybe about some other companies, but we are like number one in equipment in Nigeria. But they don't have time for all these kind of trainings. They'll be telling you how to cold call, you know how we used to do it then, coaching call, role plays. They don't have time, come and sell. You should have come with they believe that you're coming with your experience. They believe that you're coming with your skills already. Just come and sell. But you know, farmer, you know the way they do it. You will have initial training, induction training. Every POA you are doing retraining. Even during this, before POAs, you are still doing trainings. Before cycle meetings, you are still doing training. There's a lot of training that goes on in pharma. And I dare say that if anybody wants to do well in sales, you may need to find somebody in pharma who would take you through the ropes. I mean, I dare say that. And Chinaya is doing something fantastic with this. Join the breakfast meetings, ensure that you are learning and learning and learning. You know, also you need professionalism. In Pfizer, we were taught, don't say what your products cannot do. Novas, what is it used for? Mild to moderate hypertension. Severe hypertension, please, ma, prescribe something else. It's professionalism, that's what it's called. Oh, I want a shirt. Size 37, what's your sleeve length? 37. Oga, take 34. 34 too is not bad. It takes 34, a long sleeve now turns to 3/4 sleeve. You're not being professional. Even if it means that you will lose a sale, but gain a customer. Lose a sale, but gain a customer. Think through what you're doing very well and be professional with your sales. Consistency, be consistent. Let your yes be yes. Be consistent with the things you do. What are your goals? What are your objectives? Have you outlined them? Are you following through? What do you want to achieve? When I came into sales, I say again, of course, I wasn't like the regular, typical, conventional person that would be good at sales, but I kept telling myself, how am I going to get this done? I kept, upping my game year in, year out. I kept upping my game. I kept telling myself, I need to do better. And that's how you define excellence. Excellence is excelling yourself. Excel yourself daily. Oh, this was Fumi yesterday. Who is Fumi going to be tomorrow? A better version of Fumi. Resilience. Resilience is key. Resilience is very key. Very key. Yes, at their days you will be tired. Very well. Maybe I didn't tell you, introverts, we can cry for Africa. Days that are so bad, I will go back home, I will sit down, I will cry. I don't even like this job again. I don't even want the job again. It's a lie. Let me go and sit down, sleep, wake up. I will tell myself, myself will use my mouth to tell myself that, tomorrow, in the morning again, I'm the one flying out. Because I again will channel that internal energy and I'm off again. What makes for greatness in sales career? Resilience, empathy. Feel what your customers are feeling. Feel what your customers are feeling. Oh, he's a distributor. Retailers have come to buy from him. They have not paid you. Madam, you have to write my check today. I cannot go to the office without this check. Please, quick. I've been coming. You were not around. Now you are not giving me the check. You're even almost fighting the customer. Don't fight the customer. A simple word like, I understand everything you're going through. I understand you 100%. Can you do it this way? Can you give me a post-dated check and put it to a time that is convenient for you? Let's work out a timing that will be okay for the organization and okay for you as well. You have said one thing in two different ways. The first way, you have not put in empathy. The second way, you have put in empathy. You have told the customer, I feel you. A customer that you tell directly or indirectly that I feel you is a customer gained. You will gain that customer. You will gain that relationship. You will gain that trust. Also, you need confidence. I said earlier, introverts are not necessarily shy people. They are not socially anxious. They are just reserved. Reserved, but yes, with confidence. And I'll tell you something about this confidence. I learned it by leaning on the backs of people. People like, I call them my seniors. I will mention their names. People like Chineye, people like Nike Ojo used to be in Pfizer, then people like Modupe Shitu of GE, former Pfizer. I learned from people like Nena. Nena then, I don't even know how she used to do it. She would just be calling the names of the doctors. You know, Dr. This, I sat with her, my EWAG. So when we need to be able to call doctors and say that I learned confidence like this, you know, I will go with Nike, and Nike will be speaking. I'll be looking at her mouth. How is somebody speaking English like this? Still correct English, you know, still correct confidence. She, you know, and the way she would, you know, and today I don't even know how I've become this. But I know that these people carried me on their shoulders. Carried people with high confidence. Chinaya had a lot. I'll be looking at her like this. One time we were not really in the same team, but we started on the same team. I'll be looking at her at our team meetings. How are people so confident like this? You know, and you don't forget, we said earlier, how do introverts learn again? By what? By observation. You see me observing them, the terms they use. I remember then when Nika Ojo, when she's detailing doctors about antibiotics, she'll say, you know, the bugs around now, you know, they're not, you know, they're the newer bugs. You need to prescribe Zithromax, you know, Zithromax against augmentin. Sorry, GSK people, if you're on the call. Zithromax versus, you know, augmenting them, you know, and she'll be talking, and I'll be like, okay, this is it. This is it. This is it. I don't need to jot everything. I'm palming it in my brain. And then I learned confidence by, you know, by riding on the shoulders of people. Of course, you need to be goal-oriented. You need to be conscientious. It means that you have a good conscience. You have a mind that is, you know how that people say that some people settle doctors to write for them? Well, this is my 13th year in sales. And no, I do not. I will not. If you want to buy an equipment, buy it because the equipment offers you the value that you need, and you are going to get that value from it. I'm not going to give you a kobo because you want to write Novask. I'm not going to give you a kobo because you want to write Lipitor. And that's why I build relationships already. And when I build the relationships, they're not even going to be able to ask me for anything again. You know, those doctors that will say 40 packs is 40,000. No time. If you, and yes, I don't mind losing those sales. I say it over and over again. There are some sales that are not mine, and I don't mind losing them. I stand as a goal-oriented, conscientious person. Now, finally, I put this in asterisk: consultancy. You are a consultant to your customers, irrespective of what you sell. You are a consultant. What do you want? What do you want to achieve from this product? Okay, this will give you better value than this. Okay, yeah, if you want, if what you want is for, let me give an example with what I sell now. If what you want is for neonatal ventilation, I think you should take this particular ventilation because it gives lower tidal values, and you can, you know, give lower pressures. You can protect the lungs of the neonates that you're treating. That way, you are a consultant to your customer. They know that you know what you're saying. They know that you want them to get the best. Sometimes when they even want to buy things that maybe are not your products, for instance, you don't sell that product, but they need it in their organization. Do you know they'll still call you? They'll still call you and say, oh, we need infusion pumps and syringes. Which one do you think is good? And I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't sell infusion, but you know, I know that this is a good brand. This is a good brand that you can take. You are like a consultant to them. Whatever they need, they are giving you a call immediately. So that's what makes for greatness in the sales career. Let me pause here for a while. I wanted to put a count on this. You know, I wanted us to just play a game, but I couldn't get that together. Okay, I see now in chat. Let me read quickly, you know, what we have in addition in chat. Josephine is saying, lose a sale and gain trust and build integrity. 100%, Josephine. You are really, really right saying that. Lose a sale, gain trust, build integrity. You know, don't forget that in another 10 years, you may have risen and become country manager in an organization. And then that doctor that you're talking to, or that customer that you're talking to, has also become managing director in a hospital. or a chief managing director. Now you'll be talking at that high level, and they'll be looking for people with integrity. Who are they going to call out to? Thank you, Josephine, for that. You lose a sale, but you gain trust and you build integrity. Chinaya says, fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it. Like, you need to sit under the tutelage of people who will teach you, and then you keep observing, then you keep working, you keep putting into practice what you've learned. Practice, 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 practice until you become an experienced person. And Chinaya says, what is consultative selling? She says, it's also known as needs-based selling. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a sales approach where reps act more like advisors, yes, than salespeople. Instead of pushing a specific product, good. You are recommending various solutions. Thank you. I think we need you see why I say you must always come join this platform, join the breakfast meetings. You will learn more and more and more about sales. Chinaya is a pro in sales, a pro in sales. Now, this thing that she has described is the exact thing you should be to your customers, like a consultant. They're calling on you. What you are giving, don't forget, you're not just selling a product. You are bringing solutions to people. And even if you're selling food, you're selling a solution. Even if you're selling Ribena, you're selling a solution. One baby is going to cry. The parent is going to say, what do you need? The solution to that cry is Ribena. Even if you're selling clothes, you're selling a solution. There's going to be somebody who is slim, who feels that some things don't fit me, some kind of clothes don't suit me. Then you're going to be able to say, oh, this is the kind of clothes that, this one will suit you. Your kind of trousers should not be tapered. Your kind of trousers should not be this. Even if you are selling fan or bulbs, you should be able to say, what you need for your room. Maybe, I don't know so much about that, but maybe is it the colored ones? Is it the white ones? You should be able to tell them. Even if you are making air for people, you should be able to say the shape of your face is round. This is the kind of hair that would really fit your, and it will really be nice on you. I tell you, consultative selling, we can't do without it. We can't do without it. You meet the customers at the point of their needs and you give them great solutions, that will make them, but that will make them always come back to you. Solutions will make your customers come back to you all of the time. Thank you very much, people. 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 Let's move on to the next slide. I'll take a pause here. And maybe we'll take 1 or 2 questions because we have just 2 slides to go. So let me take a pause here and then take 1 or 2 questions. Also, I'll unmute myself for a bit while you're putting your questions together.
Hello, everyone. So I hope you can hear me. So if you have any questions, please just send it in the chat room.
Any questions?
So, any questions? Osas joined in a few minutes ago, but he had to leave. Osas is another interesting personality for me. Osas now. Osas is another introvert who... Okay, let me be sure you all can hear me. Can you hear me? Just let me know if you can hear me. Please let me know if you can hear me. Hello, can you all hear me? Oh, great. Thank you. I thought I went offline. Okay, great. I think Fumi went offline for a bit. She will join us shortly. So Osas is someone who some of us know Osas very well. Osas is someone who, like Fumi, He's a male version of Fumi. In fact, Osas, I think Osas is more introvertish than Fumi. He's a core introvert. And recently he told me about his promotion to becoming the sales director at where he works. So usually even if you find is an introvert in pharmaceutical sales, normally, most likely, you find them in marketing. That's where you find them, because that's where they can actually explore and they can show all their skills, all their hidden skills. Fumi was talking about, how extroverts are good in writing better than speaking. So you find a lot of extroverts in okay, that's good. I think it's better now. So you find a lot of extroverts in marketing, especially in the pharmaceutical industry. That's where you see them, because that's where they can actually explore their strengths. So Osas is someone who started out in marketing. He started out as a sales rep and then started out in marketing too. I would have loved him to come share his story too, but he logged on and had to log back out. However, he said he's gonna drop a message that I will share with you in the chat room, so you all can read Osas' story too, especially for the guys here who might not be able to identify with Fumi's story. At least you might be able to identify with Osas' story. He's a guy and he's also an extreme introvert. Osas is not a man of too many words. But if you tell Osas to lecture, like you give him a topic and say, Osas, come and give us lectures on this topic. Last time I invited Osas, this Saturday breakfast meeting, we'd spent 3 hours and he hadn't even gone halfway in his lecture. So you can imagine. So that's how detailed, introverts are. So you have so many strengths that you can actually tap into when it comes to building your sales career. Extroverts are more of, like Fumi said, we get our energy from external resources from out of us, and so there's a tendency for us to be distracted and not be so observant, But as an introvert, you are naturally an observant person, and so most times you have introverts who Fumi has joined him back, thank God. So you have introverts who understand their customers even more than extroverts, and that is key to selling. You can understand your customers beyond, other salespeople on the field. There's a high tendency for them to trust you faster. It might take a while, but they might trust you even more than they would trust, an extrovert, because they feel like an extrovert is lover of so many people. They're always shining and smiling around. So it's the same attention they're giving to you that they're giving to some other person. But an introvert, there's a level of relationship you build with an introvert that, they become, you trust them, because like Fumi said, they're naturally loyalists. They're loyal to you. They tell you they'll be here by 8:30, they're there already. An extrovert will be there by 9:01. Who are the extroverts in the house? Will be there by 9:01, but an introvert will be there by 8:30. So it's interesting that there's so many internal characteristics and personality about your personality type that can actually make you great at sales. And so that's the essence of all of this. I will share Osas' story with you in the chat room. He said he will share something there, but if he can come on board before the thing is over, it will be good to hear from Osas, because there's actually one interesting personality I would love you to hear from. I noticed somebody joined in. Isidore, hi. Thank you so much for joining in. Isidore is joining in from Canada. Isidore, hi.
Hi, Isidore. Sorry, Chineye. I don't know what just happened. My system just went on. It was like I was just going to give people time to talk, and then the system just went off. So now I'm back. Unfortunately,
you should be able to now. I just made you co-host. Try again.
Okay. So, but I don't, now I'm using another system actually. So I need like a minute or two to call up my my file.
Okay, your slides. Okay, great. Okay, that would be nice. We'll give you a few minutes. I was about to introduce Isidore. Isidore, how are you doing? Let's hear your voice.
Oh. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah, sorry. I came in a little late.
You're sounding cool. Yes, there. So how would you describe yourself? Is that you're better an introvert?
I think a hybrid.
I like that. I like that. So
Yeah.
how would you what's introvertish about you, and how has that helped your sales career?
Okay, I think I'm innately shy. But I had to gradually outgrow it based on the situation I usually find myself in. Yeah, and helping my sales career, I think it's mainly had to do with having a lot of time to muzzle to contemplate every action more or less to myself, over talking it with myself, me and myself having the conversations about practically every part of it. I think that actually helped to deepen most of the kind of outputs that I have to most things. It pretty much helped. I'm so sorry I missed that. Probably a whole chunk of
Yeah, you did.
It's yeah, but it's recorded, right? So I'll get to at
Yes,
least.
it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it's recorded. It is. We're streaming live on YouTube, so I'm sure YouTube will record it for us. Yeah, good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well.
Thank you so much, Isidore. It's
Yeah.
good to have you. What time is it over there? You know, we're having you in one of our sessions, the jackpot session. We have not 8:20.
3:20 a.m.
Did you say 8:20? 3:20. Wow.
3:20. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. One of these Saturdays will bother your sleep again. Sorry in advance.
It's a pleasure.
Okay, thank you so much. Fumi, are you back? Yeah, Fumi, are you back? Fumi, can you hear us?
Yes, Chinaya, I can hear you. Yes, so I'm almost pulling up the file.
Okay, good.
Just in like another 2 minutes,
okay.
And we'll kick off. Okay, yeah, so yeah, we're almost here. Yeah, now I can share. Sorry, guys. One of the cons of technology. Okay. Okay, now I can.
So let me share. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
I had a glitch.
Okay. Now I can share.
So let me share the story together. So Osa says his life as an introvert, nature was outside of his control. Can you all hear me, please? Let me be sure you can hear me. Nature was out of his control. Nature outside his control. That's nature outside his control. Nurture As a child, he was the last child of his mother, second to the last of his father, polygamous family, large extended family, childhood deprivation of most of his life essentials. He lost his father at age 7, and how introverted life helped him. He was excellent in academics from early age. It shaped his sales career. He had the tendency to study, so there was deep study and understanding of products and features, just like Fumi said, features and benefits. He had an excellent product knowledge. He had, of course, like Fumi said too, he was very observant, so he could study and understand different customer behaviors. He was also sympathetic with customers, and then persistent and patient to win difficult customers. So that's one unique quality you have as an introvert. An extrovert will probably just move on. Maybe I remember you when somebody else says, this person bought for me. They will not remember that, okay, I was even trying to chase that person too. But an introvert will be patient, with you, especially if you are tagged as a difficult customer, because to them, they see similarity with you. They know that there's a reason why you are being difficult. They understand you taking your time. It's also their thing. So they will be patient with you. How it shaped his career. Some extrovert managers misunderstood his quiet nature for disloyalty. Interesting. So that's one thing. Sometimes you might be quiet, and then other extroverts might see you as being disloyal, because when they call you for a hangout, you might not always want to show up. And for an extrovert, that's where loyalty lies, when you show up whenever they call you. Some doubted his leadership ability, so it denied him many sales job roles, which is actually understandable. So it led him to product management and marketing, which I shared earlier. And then marketing orientation made him a better salesman. Still product knowledge, because marketing orientation will give you a deeper understanding of your products, its features and its benefits. So he's a well-rounded commercial salesperson, able to manage both sales roles and marketing roles. He's currently a sales director now at I think it's a company that was cut out of Society for Family Health. It's not just, I think they have a new division now that is more of a business. I've forgotten what he called it, but it's not just an NGO. They have a business arm now, and he's a sales director. They imagine us as being a sales director. I would always imagine him as a marketing director. That very well.
Yeah.
So he decided, he was here earlier and he couldn't stay, so he told me he would share his story with everyone, so that we can get to understand, how he also transitioned to. So Fumi, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, people, for staying on despite the glitch. We just spoke about, we stopped around when we were talking around what makes for greatness in sales. And we'll be talking now about how to build our sales confidence. So I think that this is the point where, just like what Chineye read about what Osas sent, this is the point where the self-awareness comes in. So you need to be self-aware, and you need to also master yourself. You need to be self-aware, you need self-awareness, and you need self-mastery. For self-awareness, what do you need? I've been using a word through the course of this talk. I've been saying I transitioned. So training and coaching was one of the things that helped me with the transitioning. Now I may not describe myself completely as an introvert anymore. And I know that even Osas, you may not describe Osas as an introvert anymore. So some of us now sit in that space, of ambivertism, where we're really introverts, but because of the nurture, which was what, I didn't get the name quite well, just a minute, which was what Isidore was saying. Was it Isidore or Osas? Osas, yeah, it was still Osas. Or who lost his father at 7? Was it Osas, Chineye? I think it was Osas. So that was what Osas was saying. Self-awareness is critical. You need to understand that, okay, this is you and this is what I lack. Now, when you know what you lack, you begin to understand that you need the training, you need the coaching. So I had coaches. I will still again mention, I call them my seniors. I had coaches. I had coaches that I will learn from by observation. I will learn from by coaching call. And thank God for Farmer. Farmer, there were lots and lots and lots of coaching calls. And at this point, I like to say that coaching will involve a lot of humility. I had a manager who was my classmate in school, but at some point in Pfizer, he became my manager. And I make bold to say that Oye, Adeboye was one of the people that I learned the most from. We schooled together, same class, finished together. He became my manager, but he's completely wonderful. Boye will sit around maybe a red and a yellow, a leader kind of person by default, by nature. And he knew his onions. He knew his onions. I mean, it doesn't cost much to just humble yourself to learn and to be coached. So I was coached by him. I was coached by Modupe Shito. I was coached by Nika Ojo. I was coached by Chineye. I was coached by Egwono Obi in Pfizer. I had lots of coaches. I had lots of trainers. I wasn't afraid to ask questions. I wasn't afraid to say, show me how you do it. Even up to the point of terminology. How do you say this? One of the things that I learned a lot from Boye. Don't call a spade a hammer. You understand? You need to know the terms to use. So that self-awareness brought me to the point where I knew the things I was lacking. And nobody has it all. Even extroverts don't have it all. Even extroverts do not have it all. Nobody has it all. And this is the point, that's the point where you say, okay, I'm self-aware. I know exactly what I lack, and I'm willing to learn. Another thing we should be doing is we should be leveraging our soft skills. You see all those qualities we mentioned about introverts, how that they have good listening skills, how that they are very introspective, how that they listen, how that they take their time with customers, how that they are empathic. Those are the soft skills you should leverage. You have beautiful soft skills if you're an introvert, leverage it. Osa said something very important, and yes, it affected me too, because nobody would immediately see Fumi as somebody who should be in leadership. So at that point, I couldn't even transit into sales management. So, okay, I have soft skills with relationship management and relationship building. So I transitioned into key account management. So from doing sales, from being a rep, a professional rep, then I went into key account management, and key account management brought out all the good qualities that I had. If you were my customer, you were going to do well in Pfizer back then, because I knew exactly what my customers needed. I was leveraging the skills that I had. So it's like a triangle. This is where you are up there. Down here, you're leveraging your soft skills because you have a good number of qualities and skills. And on the other end of the triangle, you are also calling out for training. You're also telling yourself that these are the things that I lack. And and you're forming a complete triangle that brings out the holistic you. So, the self-awareness, you need to really look deep within yourself and say, what are the things I need? Go beyond cold calling. I know that back in the day, they would say that cold calling was, used to help. You make a call to a doctor first and all of that. But now we have CRM, we have all sorts of management tools, database management tools that can help you. You are an introvert. Yes, and we know that you are a master with a keyboard. But nonetheless, take time, leave cold calling and come and face people one-on-one. In fact, let them put a face to the name. And that was one of the things that COVID taught me. So during COVID, we were just, we were calling, we were sending messages, we were following up on people, but we weren't seeing them. I it will get to a point, people that have spoken with new customers will say, I really wish I could just see you. The way you sound so wonderful. I like to see you. I'll say, okay, no worries. When the organization says we can come out, I'll come out and then we'll talk and all of that. It brought me to a point where I just knew that you can't do sales just based on cold calling. I know that in some cases, especially now in Nigeria, you're probably in Lagos, but you're covering the north, you're covering the east, you're covering maybe up north. once in a while, ensure that you are really touching base with your customers. As much as I know that this doesn't really work well in pharma, because pharma people were really on ground. We sit with our customers 100%. In other parts of sales, maybe in other industries like the equipment industry, you actually can manage a customer, without seeing them. A whole year you're managing a customer and you're not seeing that customer because there are just so few people and there's a big expanse of regions to cover. So, but then nonetheless, no matter what you're selling, go beyond cold calling. It is not in all cases that you get to see your customer depending on what you're selling, but when you can do a one-on-one, face-to-face conversation with a customer, please go ahead and do the visits to the customer. And that leads me to the next one. Focus on one-on-one conversations if you are an introvert. If you are a core introvert, focus on one-on-one conversations. Your strength might not be those presentations. You will transition eventually and you'll do well with presentation. I do presentations a lot these days and I do them fantastically well, but I do not start that way. I focused on one-on-one conversations. Start with knowing all the doctors. Back then, I remember in Pfizer, they would say, if you are going to do a meeting, a clinical presentation, ensure that most of the doctors that will be sitting there are doctors that you have met one-on-one at some point. So that by the time you are going to the meeting, there are some terrible doctors. It's when you are finished talking about your products and people have agreed, they want to start prescribing. That's when somebody will just bring one objection and poison the minds of all the people who have been listening to you so beautifully from morning, since when you started the presentation. So please ensure that you have done your one-on-one conversations very well. I said earlier, when I was covering Jade Bagada, if you were not my mommy, you were my auntie. If you're not my auntie, you're my uncle. If you're not my uncle, we will find a point where we meet. There was always a meeting point. If you're there will be something that this is the point. You remind me of, we will talk, then all of a sudden you are my daddy. You remind me of, we will talk, and all of a sudden you are my sister. You remind me, all of a sudden you are my friend. So at that point, I would have built a lot of one-on-one conversations, and we're doing well. In fact, most of them will call me. They start telling me personal things. How can I help them with this? How can I go beyond the selling? Go beyond the selling. Let them, okay, what, you're looking at for, I know somebody who does it very well. I remember a doctor then who just came into Lagos from OUTHC, Ife. And he hadn't gotten his accommodation. So he was staying in hotels and all of that. And myself and my colleague called on him that time. And my colleague said, you're looking for, I will give you some connections and he was very particular. He didn't want all these agents they had already frustrated him in Lagos. They are taking him to, all those people that tell you, it's a beautiful house. Come and see. And then when you get there, it's not nonsense. So they had frustrated him well enough. And he was telling us, no, he doesn't want, my colleague was like, don't worry. I have at least 2 agents that will never bring you, terrible houses. They tell you exactly the way it is. Before we said Jack Robinson, in 2 weeks to 3 weeks, it was already sorted. His accommodation was sorted. And he appreciated that very additional solution or value, that we added to his life beyond, trying to sell Lyrica or what was it we were selling then, Celebrex or Novas. So focus on one-on-one conversations, and that also would help you to build relationship. Now, how do you master yourself? Self-mastery. Carry out research before you call, before you make that visit, before you try to make that sale. Carry out the research. Don't go and be asking the doctors very, obvious questions. Doctor, do you prescribe antibiotics for kids? Doctor is a pediatrician. I prescribe antibiotics for kids already. So just carry out your research. Know as much as you can. Already you are an introvert. And a little thing that if anybody says something that, it could just tick you off wrongly. You might be sad and then it might make you discouraged. Now, to prevent that discouragement, you carry out your research and be sure that you have asked all the necessary questions. You've pulled all the necessary information that you need before you make the call. Practice. When you learn by observation, practice, practice, practice. Practice, practice, practice. Sit before your mirror. Do the talk. Talk the talk. You know, like you're doing roll calls, do it within yourself. Do it yourself. Do it right there before your mirror. Do it right there before your family, people who can laugh at you and all of you, you know, you make fun of it. Sometimes when I do slides, I'm showing it to people around me, my sisters, my husband. I'm saying, can you read through this thing? Does it make any sense? Or can you listen to what I'm saying? Does it bring any sense to you? You know, because we are reserved. We don't want anything taking us off. We don't want anything pushing us, you know, in the wrong direction and making us feel like, oh, I'm not even good and made for this thing. So before you do all of that, practice, 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 practice. And of course, ultimately, introverts, again, they gain their energy internally, recharge. What works for you? Me, I know that people might find this funny, but what works for me if I need to recharge is just to sit in my house, not on the bed, on the chair. I'll just lie down on the chair and then just sit in my own world. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm thinking. I could be dreaming. I could be thinking of what I want to be in another 5 years, what things I'm supposed to be doing to add to myself, you know, how I've not done this excellently. You know, I'm just, you know, sometimes we don't sit, we don't meditate, we don't think. That's recharging for me. Recharging for me. And my TV might be off. You know, for some people it's the movies. Please do the movies. For some people it's eating out. Sometimes I don't mind eating out, you know, maybe with one friend or two. We just go and sit in a restaurant. You know, they might be recharging for me. We just sit. We just eat a simple meal. You know, we talk. We encourage ourselves. You know, we do that sometimes with friends. Talk, encourage ourselves. But try as much as possible to recharge. Introverts need that recharging. We are like batteries. You need that internal recharging. And the recharging won't come from external sources. They will come from inside you. So you need to take your time, your own me time, take it to yourself and recharge. Now that's how you build your sales, your self-confidence as an introvert. Now at this point, I will say that with all of these things and more that have happened in my life, sometimes it's a little difficult now to describe me completely as an introvert because I'm not that girl again. You know, I said at the beginning of this talk, I said sometime along the line in Ife, I did my birthday and I went to hide, you know, in the kitchenette because the noise was just too much for me. Now I go to parties and I'm able to dance. You know, I go to parties, I'm able to, you know, I've kind of transitioned. Sometimes I'm able to wear the shoes of maybe like a semi-extrovert or a low-key extrovert. And these days, I kind of tell people, okay, I think I'm now ambivertish, unassuming, but I'm ambivertish. And because of self-awareness and self-mastery, I've told myself, okay, these are my down points, and I've arranged myself in that regard. Now I'm aware of what is happening around me. I've learned and I've mastered myself enough. And if the external, let me use the word external stimulus, if it's too much for me, then I run back again and I recharge myself. Recharging is critical, highly critical, highly critical. Sometimes, you know, my recharging sometimes is cooking. I just cook. I just want to cook with a big pot. Who will eat it? I don't know. I just cook. You know, at a point, I didn't used to know what I was doing with that. But funny, right? I just sit there, I just cook. I cook and I tell people, okay, come on, I made jollof rice. And I make one of the best Nigerian jollof. You are invited to eat jollof rice. Well, yeah, cooking is one of the things that I also do very well. And I use that to recharge. So tell me, at this point, I'll pause now while we start taking our questions and answers. Ultimately, please sell in your unique personality and traits. You are uniquely made. Your nature is unique. Your nurture has added to it. Sell in that. Sell in that. And like Osas said, it's shocking that Osas is head of sales, but even I was trying to find that Harvard link because I read it back then some 5 years ago and I tried to bring it up. I didn't. If I find it, I will share it. I will still search for it. If I find it, I'll share it with Chineye. There's actually a Harvard Business Review that talks about introverts being the best salespeople because of the qualities that we have. Listening skills. While you're there listening, an extrovert is talking off. they're talking, but you are listening. The customer has said something that the extrovert has probably missed, right? But you have heard it. You have heard it. You are going to clarify. You know those things that we learn for selling skills, clarifying, asking questions, using, handling objections. You have much more patience and you have much more space within you to take all of those things. And now, I'm going to find that Harvard Business Review. I'm going to share it with Chineye so that, she can share to our email addresses. But it's a fantastic review. I like us to read it. And now the world is even going towards the point where they say that introverts are making the best salespeople on the surface of the earth. Now we'll go back to that slide, and that's where we will close. We'll go back to that slide, and then we'll ask ourselves again, who do you think is an introvert in this room? Who are the introverts in this room? Put it in chat. After all that you've heard today, who are the introverts in this room? Can you put it in chat for me? And I'm going to also ask one or two more questions. Please put your answers in chat when I ask the questions. Who are the introverts in this room? Now, is it only because the first time we all said it was Bill Gates and Albert Einstein? Is it only Einstein and Bill Gates now? Or do we have more introverts in the room? If you can hear me, please put your message in the chat. Yes. So I'm reading from the chat now. Chineye says, yes, don't waste your prospect time with information you can get from it. Yes, information you can get from it. Those are not the questions you should go asking your prospect at all. Yeah. Okay, so Blessing says, how can I measure growth in sales? To become an expert in sales, how many years will it take? Okay. Warren Buffett, yes. Nelson Mandela, all of them actually. All of them are introverts. All of them, even Elon Musk, all of them have been, research has shown that all of them are introverts. All of them are introverts. So I have some other questions I want to ask you. I want to bring up the question. Just a minute. Okay. So, which of these points now that I'm about to mention is bringing up the questions for us? Chineye. Hello, Chineye.
Yes,
while I bring up the other questions, can you take Blessing's question? How can one measure growth in sales? To become an expert in sales, how many years will it take?
I don't know why I can't see the question. They should send it to you privately.
Okay, maybe she sent it to me privately. Hold on, let me see. If you did, oh yes, she did. So I can copy it and put it, send it to everyone. Thank you, Blessing, for that question. We do appreciate the question.
Okay.
I'm copying.
Okay.
1 minute. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, so I put it up for you, Chineye.
Okay, I don't know if you, okay, let me read it out, sorry. I don't know if you got my previous question because my network trailed off. It says, how can one measure growth in sales? To become an expert in how many years will it take? Thank you for your class, Mal. Okay, so I don't know who asked this question, but measuring growth in sales is, how do I explain it to you? Okay, they're basically, when you're talking about sales, you're talking about numbers. So for you as a sales, depending on what stage you are now in your sales career, if you are just starting out, you would have to measure your growth in terms of your sales performance. So, and it also depends on your organization too. Like when we were at Pfizer, we always have to use Pfizer as an example because that's where our background was. When we had Pfizer, we measured our sales in terms of performance, yes, numbers. But one good thing Pfizer helped us do was to also measure our sales performance also in terms of other characteristics that were not just about your numbers. So we had clinical meetings. We had so for instance, so for Pfizer, it was more like not just your numbers. They also needed you to develop some traits that are very important to helping you meet your numbers in the future. So like I said, it depends on what stage you are in your career. But most importantly for organizations, they look at the numbers. But for you as an individual, don't just look at the numbers because numbers don't matter to you initially. What matters to you is, do you have the personality, the traits that are important to be able to meet the numbers in the future? So it's still numbers though, but at one point in your time, you're looking at different things. So as a new sales rep, you're looking at what are the qualities required for me to be a great sales rep in the next 2 years or in the next 2 years. So you're giving yourself a 2 year target. What do you need to be a great sales rep in the next 2 years? So some of the skills are some of the things Fumi has mentioned. One important skill is listening skills. So if you are not good at listening naturally, if you're not good at listening, like Fumi said, some of us are just in a hurry to speak. If you're not good at listening, you might need to start developing your listening skills in terms of listening to your colleagues at work, listening to your family members, listening more than you speak. By the time you start developing that skill, you understand that you have a better relationship with your customers because you won't help them complete their sentences. You understand that that's bad manners. You have to let them say it the way they want to say it. Let them express themselves and allow them to speak. You listen to them, and at the end of the day, you give your feedback or you give your response because you listened carefully. So as a sales rep, the best way to measure your sales growth like I said, is to develop these characteristics that are relevant to you as a salesperson, so that at the end of the day, you're going to meet your numbers. So eventually, it will show in your numbers. It will definitely show in your numbers. To become a sales expert in sales, how many years will it take me? So it depends on you. However, generally, it takes about 2 years to even get to understand to understand how you can actually be good in sales. To be good in sales, it takes an average of 2 years because the first 6 months, you're still discovering yourself. You're still trying to understand your personality and your style in selling. And then subsequently, you start getting results. And when you start getting results, next step is for you to start getting results with your team. So first, you get results as an individual. Fumi said a lot about teamwork. And the next thing, you have to start learning how to get results in a team, as a team member. So that's where, that's another level of development you need to have as a salesperson. So give yourself about 2 years. It's not how do I put it? It's not cast on stone. But however, I would say give yourself 2 years if you're just new in sales. Another question. Thank you, Famchine and Fumi. Glad I'm more interesting to know you are my senior alumni in Great Ife. Okay. The awareness made me feel more at home. I never knew I would be in sales, but my days in Ife as an owl boy drifted me from being introvert to a high level towards extrovert. Anyway, I'm still an introvert because I love it as long as I do well. You have done a good job to the topic. Thank you for making the class more interesting. Thank you so much, Els Magnates. Thank you so much. Please share. I dropped the link to the community here. Please, you guys, the only way you can say thank you to us or to me is if you can share this community with your friends and your colleagues and let us grow the community together. We'll have more of this year. Fumi says, listening skills is critical to being a great salesman. Okay, Fumi has dropped her question. Okay, good. I think I've given you expo already.
True or false?
I already spoke about it. I didn't even know that was your question.
I was smiling when you were saying it. I said, Chinaya has given us the answer.
I don't see it. I'm sorry.
Not a problem at all. But there's another one there. So the lifetime of an organization is what?
Interesting one.
Cool. Magnet says the sales. Josephine Adeni says sales. Ekene Paul says sales. Okay. Everyone agrees that the lifeline of an organization is sales. So I'm going to drop one more question. If you don't mind, then I'll... I'm trying to type as fast as I can. Ryan.
Okay, so someone has a question while you're typing. Say, I'm not so good with body language. I can be indifferent in body language, but I do the job well. How do I work on this? Okay. Onome, I would have loved you to speak out what do you mean by body language? There are different aspects of body language. What are you talking about? Is it the way you gesticulate, or the way your face is? Or if you can unmute your microphone and speak out, I'd love to hear from you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Onome, we're here. We want to hear from you.
I hear you.
Okay, what I mean is you could be talking and I'm listening. I am actually listening. I'll just be taking everything in my head, and you wonder, the person starts wondering if I am really acting. But when the person leaves, I do that thing that they asked me to do. So sometimes it costs a lot of, oh, you just act like, we told you didn't do anything. So like, your body language is just indifferent. I don't understand it. Are you going to do it or not? And I'll be telling them, I'll do it. And truly, I'll do it.
Onome, we didn't get the first part of your statement.
Okay, I said that when it comes to, like, when you're talking to me and I am just looking like straight and okay, I'm trying to really grasp what the person is saying, and I don't act much with how, like, maybe get gesticulations and like, so I always get an issue with that. Like, oh, it takes, I don't know how to put it. Like, it really gets, I'll be telling them,
Okay,
I hear you now.
I understand you. I think I
Yeah,
understand
I'm
you.
like, I hear you. I can hear you. I hear you.
Okay.
And I'll do this thing. Don't worry.
Okay.
So it was recently only my supervisor, like, that really got to know that side of me. She just looked at me like, sometimes you just do like you did not even hear. But when you now finish the thing, you did very well. Like, she told me like, maybe something you should just work on. And she just told me passively. I said, okay. No problem.
So I can give you a quick tip that can help. So what you can do is to, when someone speaks to you or gives you an instruction, can you respond?
How?
If I understand you clearly, you want to do this, right? So that alone makes the person feel like you heard them.
Yes. Hello? Hello?
Okay, so I want to mute you so you can hear me clearly. Okay, so what I was saying was this. So if someone gives you an instruction, you can respond. Sometimes when you don't respond, the person might feel like they were not heard. So maybe you should try by practicing some kinds of response. It might not be your body language. It might just be the fact that you did not respond. So if someone gives you an instruction, why don't you practice saying, oh, okay, can I do it? Which way? Just ask a question to make them feel like you heard them. So even if you understand them 100%, response are always very good. They're always very important in communication. Like we say, there's no communication unless there's feedback. So when someone gives you an instruction or tells you something to do, that's why you see some people, even when I did a couple of interviews a few days ago, some of them are here in the call room now. I saw some names, familiar names. So a few of them after the interview sent me a mail saying, thank you for the interview. I enjoyed my session with you. Of course, definitely. I know it's not compulsory. Nobody's expected to do it. But the truth is that it felt good to get a response from them. So response is very important in communication. So even if someone gives you an instruction and you just say, okay, I heard you. I'll do it this way. I hope it's okay if I do it this way. you know what you're doing, but you're just responding just for response sake. I hope it's okay if I do it this way. Okay, if I understand you clearly, do you mean I should do it this way, and this way? The person says, yes, perfect. You go. So I think it's just the fact that you need to respond more than maybe just giving them the silent treatment. If that's okay by you. Is that helpful? Onome, is that helpful? I think Fumi has dropped the next question.
Yes.
Hello? Okay.
Onome, was
Yes,
that helpful?
Was that
Yes.
helpful?
Yes, but not completely the silent treatment. Like I could just nod my head. Nod my head.
That's what I'm
Okay.
saying. No more nodding of head. Give a response.
Okay.
Give a full response.
Yeah.
Give a
I
verbal
will just
response. No
nod my
more
head.
nodding of
Okay.
head.
Okay.
No more nodding head.
So Chinenye, if
Give
I
a
may
thumb.
add, Onome, don't forget that, I mean, that's what self-awareness is about. So it's a good thing now that you see
Yeah.
that this is something that you're doing at the moment. And we need to improve on a daily basis. The best salespeople are the people that when they look back, back from 5 years ago, they see that they have really, really, really improved. Those are the best salespeople. When you look at yourself and you say, oh, back then I didn't used to listen as much. Back then I didn't used to respond. My non-verbal cues were not good. That is self-awareness. And then you move from self-awareness to self-mastery. You ensure that what you need to do to be better, you keep doing it. And that's what exactly Chinenye was saying. You need to respond. Respond even when you're responding. Don't respond in a calm manner, respond in a manner that suits the conversation that is ongoing. You understand? And I'm very certain that in another 3-4 years, you'll be in the best position to train somebody in this regard. Because then you say, oh, I used to be like that. I used to be like that. I just used to nod my head. And people also want to hear from you the same way you want to hear from them. So please respond, and respond by saying something. Yeah. Okay. So the next question is up. The next question is up.
Your answers are coming in already.
Great. Answers are coming in. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think I wanted to put a Kahoot, and I wanted to put a gift to the Kahoot, but the Kahoot just wasn't working yesterday night. Nigeria has happened to us all.
I wish she had sent it to me. I would have sent a poll.
Sent a poll, right? Yes.
I was going to send the poll.
Yeah, it would have been really cool. It would have been really cool. But it's all good. This is nice. Thank you, Chinenye. I don't know if there are still any more questions in the room. Do we have any more questions in the room?
No, I don't think so. No more questions.
Okay.
Yeah. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Fumi. You kept to time exactly. We're right on time. And then the only announcement I have is to share the community once again in the chat room. So if you are part of the community, great for you. I'll share the recordings there in the Telegram group. But however, if you are not part of the community, please, I would recommend that you join us, and then invite your colleagues and friends to join us too, so that we can build a community of like minds and sales experts. Thank you so much, Fumi. We really, really enjoyed your session. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. So as usual,
I don't take it for granted at all.
You're definitely coming back for me. Don't worry. Maybe before the end of the year, we'll bring you back again.
All right. Thank you so much, Chinenye. Thank you guys for joining.
Thank you so very much. So as usual, we'll say goodbyes in our local dialect in the chat room. Some of us are just joining us. That's our way of saying welcome and goodbye. So let's just say goodbyes in our local dialects. You can mention where you're dialing in from. So I'm in Lagos. I'm Igbo, so I will say Kachifonu, Lagos, from Lagos. Kachifonu. Oh, thank you. Yeah, in Lagos. Thank you so much. Odabo from Ibado. Blessing, how you doing? Thank you. Odabo, Josephine. The Odabo. Thank you so much. Yeah, Odabo. Latu Ilu Eko. Let me bite my tongue. Say Gobe. Kano. Suleiman from Kano saying say Gobe. Thank you so much, Suleiman. It was interesting having you all here. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you so much. Bye. Have a great